Yes. Good evening, everyone. So, as part of UID Hackathon, as you know, there are two themes, mainly two themes. And in previous presentations, we presented how to work on the address theme. So, today, we would like to do the same with authentication theme. So, what exactly we are trying to do here is we are trying to leverage the smartphone capabilities to develop new use cases and workflows for Aadhaar authentication. So here, what when I say authentication in a in a world with a lot of smartphones, what I mean is OTP authentication and face authentication. So we would like to see you guys build new use cases using the capabilities of Aadhaar, use them to I mean use them to build applications which can verify the resident, which can seamlessly be integrated into various services like banking services, ticketing services, etc. So keeping this in mind, I like to go over some of the definitions. For example, throughout this PPT, we will talk about two applications. One is called resident application, the other is called verifier application. When I say a resident application, what I mean by that is it's an Android app that runs on the personal smartphone of a resident, that is you and me. So in this resident application, we can store we can securely enter a UID for communicating with UIDAI. However, we would like to use a virtual ID instead of UID wherever it's possible. I'll explain what exactly VID is in the coming slides. So keep in mind that in whatever applications you build, it is a bad practice to store or transmit the Aadhaar number. Now, when I say a verifier application, what I mean by that is it is an application held by a verifier, that is someone who wants to verify whether you are you, right? So it is not owned by the resident and is used for validating claims of the residents. And here also we never shared or store Aadhaar number on such an app. So depending going forward, I'll take few problem statements or use cases depending on your solution for different use cases. You can either build a resident application or a verifier application or both of them. Okay. So before that, I'll just go through what are the security and best practices. We always prefer to use VID instead of Aadhaar number for verifier apps, and we will attract and you will attract more credits if your solution provided uses VID instead of Aadhaar number. Also, if you want to present your VID to someone else, it's supposed to be. I mean, you are supposed to do it in a very seamless manner through the use of QR code and avoid typing long numbers. And as I said previously, never store the Aadhaar number even in the Resident app or your backend service or a verifier app. So keeping these security and best practices in mind, I'll go over what is VID. So VID is essentially a proxy to Aadhaar number. You have your Aadhaar number, then this is a proxy to that. Since we consider Aadhaar number as a personal information, we have provided, UID has provided an option for resident to use a proxy for Aadhaar number called VID. So what are the benefits of VID? the benefits of VID is the resident can generate a VID on demand, that is once per day, and VID is only valid until a resident changes it. So a resident can generate more any number of VIDs, albeit it's one per day. So once he uses once, he can regenerate it, and he'll get a different VID, and he can use that VID going forward. So how is this helpful? Any businesses using Aadhaar as their KYC mechanism, they can't correlate any profile or profile of the resident, because VID has an expiration date, kind of an expiration date, because once you regenerate it, the old one is no longer valid. Okay. Now, also throughout this PPT and when explaining various problem statements, I'll be saying eKYC XML. So what I mean by an eKYC XML is, it is a digitally signed document containing demographics data and photograph of a resident. So what I mean by demographics data is name, date of birth, address. These are demographics data, and it has a photograph. The photograph is base 64 encoded. So whenever you want to use that photo, you'll decode the base 64 to get the photograph. And this photograph was collected during a residence, was captured during a residence enrollment. Now, this XML does not have any information about Aadhaar. That is, it doesn't contain UID number. No Aadhaar number is present in this. There are two variations in this. One is called an offline eKYC XML and an online eKYC XML. One can download. I mean, currently there is a web application on uid.gov.in where one can download their eKYC XML using Aadhaar OTP. So this is the XML. This is essentially the document which proves your identity. So this can be shared with banks and financial institutions. Once you share it, the banks and financial institutes can verify it. They can make use of the digital signature to say confirm that the document hasn't been tampered, and they also you can use this to verify your identity.
So, Chetan, we'll take a pause here. We'll take a couple of questions on VID and eKYC XML. So,
Yes.
if any participant has got any query about the eKYC XML or on the VID, they can use the chat window and ask.
Yes.
We'll take 2 minutes of pause here so that
yes, sir.
we
Just
resolve
before that,
any of
I'd like to yes, sir. Before that, I'd like to just add that you guys don't have to worry about how the eKYC XML is generated. You'll be given a wrapper API. The endpoints are already populated. I'll share you the. I'll show you the Git repo once we get over to the eKYC API. So all you have to do is use that API. Just call that API and get the XML.
Okay.
So this is Vivek Raghavan. I have a couple of points I'd like to make sure conceptually people are clear. Virtual ID is the key point is it's a fungible ID. So I can change it anytime I want. I cannot change my Aadhaar number. And that's the primary difference between this. So therefore I can change my VID once a day. Of course, I can use my VID any number of times. I could use it 10 times and I could keep it same for 10 days or 1 month or 1 year. But whenever I want to change it, I can change it. And that's the difference between VID and UID. UID is a permanent lifetime ID, right? So therefore, that's why we want to protect it as opposed to something that is fungible and changeable. That's one important point that you need to understand. And at the as far as the offline, if we can go back to the and of course the point is that if I want to use a VID today and tomorrow I'm doing another application, I can change my VID. I'm still the same person authenticating, and so therefore nobody can deduplicate me based on basis of the VID. That's the important thing. So it's a way by which, especially when you're trying to enter in some other device, which whether you're not sure whether you trust it or not, that's the place where you got to use VIDs. So certainly in a verifier app, we want to get into a habit of using VIDs, even though that's not the situation today. That's where we want to go. That's the purpose of why we created VID. The second point, as far as the offline KYC XML is, remember, it is digitally signed. So my expectation is it is a document which it is actually is an interesting thing. It is actually something that it is secure in the sense that if somebody tries to tamper it, it will become invalid. So anytime you use the eKYC XML for any purpose, you always first need to validate the digital signature. Because if it's been tampered, that one will no longer be valid. So every app which needs to do it needs to understand whether this is a genuine eKYC XML, which has been signed by UIDAI and has not been tampered after that. So that's a very key thing. And the fact is that when he says has no information, it actually does have the last 4 digits of the Aadhaar number. I could be wrong about that. I think that it is there, but implicitly in there, if you look carefully, I won't tell you how, but it does not have the full Aadhaar information. So therefore, it's something that you need to be clear about. And so therefore, the eKYC XML can actually be used by anybody because it doesn't have Aadhaar number. Okay, because if you look at what is the court is saying is that they place some restrictions on private sector implement institutions using Aadhaar number, right? So the important thing is it doesn't have the Aadhaar number. So that's something that you have to understand. And if we want to have a wide use, we can't, while we should be Aadhaar backed, we should not be revealing Aadhaar number. I hope that cleared some points. But certainly, please, any questions, please. Yeah.
Sir, Shram Maiti is asking, how can we decode the image from eKYC? So the photo, in the XML, there is a photo field. It contains the base64 encoded photograph. So if you decode it, that base64 string, you'll get the image.
Yeah. So just to be clear, it is just encoded. It is not encrypted. So therefore, you can just have to decoding. That's, yes. There is code anywhere you can find to do base64 decoding.
Yeah. Piyush Kumar is asking, how much do we need to worry about the security regarding the storing of the XML as we get password protected XML? So can we just save that password protected zip file and consider it safe enough, or do we need to use any other extra encryption methods?
So I don't think it is a super, this is just my view. I don't think it is a super sensitive thing to store, because there's 2 things, right? Because it does not contain the Aadhaar number, number 1. Number 2, it contains the names and the demographics. So therefore, to that extent, you should, if you don't want it to be running around, but it actually does not contain your Aadhaar number. And of course, your name and address may be and photo may be in various other places also. But having said that, you should, all the personal documents, you should have a certain level of safety and security, but it is not super sensitive, is my view, because of the nature. But we know that it is tamper evident, which is very powerful, which is the main thing to understand about the offline KYC XML.
Yes. So Piyush, you can store it as it is, since it is already password protected, but you might also consider but it's not that necessary in the for a current implementation. So Yash Jain asks, sir, how to use the API in the app? So Yash, in the end, I'll provide you a link to an app called AUA app, which has already implemented this feature. So if you go through that app's code, you will understand how to implement it yourself, or you can simply fork that app's code, use it, and integrate your functionalities within that app and remove the functionalities which you feel are not necessary. I'll show you the repo once we get to the app. Prasad asked what should include in the signature tag. So if you are referring to the signature tag in field in the XML, it is provided by UIDI. It is essentially the digital signature which you will be verifying to ensure whether the XML has been tampered or not. Sanjay is asking, is there any API for face authentication which could be used? Yes, Sanjay, there is an app called a service called Face ID service. Also, and it has an headless app which does the face auth for you, which does the capture and face auth for you. And I'll be sharing you exactly where that app can be found and how to use that app.
Yeah, in fact, we are strongly suggesting there may be some applications. In 99% of the applications, our recommendation is that you directly use this app for your face authentication needs. It basically is an app which basically you have another app and it gives control to this app and the entire face capture and the face authentication, the face capture, the liveness, the detection, the and the face matching, whether it is happening at the online at the back end or it's having offline, all that is controlled inside this APK, and it is actually kind of built so that you can use it as a package. So therefore, yeah, there may be very rare conditions, but I think that if someone comes up with that case, we'll talk about it. But almost 99% of the cases, you can directly use this application for your face authentication.
Yes. So Karan is asking, is there an HTTP API for face recognition? Karan, currently no. We have an Android app which does that for you. Siddharth is asking what kind of data personal can we store in database. Siddharth, you can store the eKYC XML and that's about it.
In fact, the one of the things that we'll be judging is how how much about privacy you're caring about in your app. So the less you store, the better off we are. The intent is that we should be able to authenticate the user's identity without having with minimal information and minimum loss to the privacy, so that the purpose is served, but other things are not done. So therefore, in fact, the less you store, the better off you will be in judging from a judging perspective. So therefore, you should highlight what are all the features that you are doing to protect the privacy of the resident.
Okay, so I think I'll move forward. Most of the questions will be answered when I get to the
Any other
API
questions?
part. So,
Chetan, I missed the question, or are you answering? Sorry. Yeah.
yes. So I said I'll move forward to integrate and how when the specific related to API, not related to the lingo when we get to the section. So moving forward, so we learned about VID, eKYC, XML. Now about the Face RD SDK. So Face RD SDK is an headless app that works on this. A verifier app can invoke this headless to perform face auth. When a resident shares an XML document to a verifier app, verifier can invoke this headless app provided by UIDI, and it has the functionality built into it of to do the face match. It will do the face match and on saying it's a this is a very important technology which can be used at various scenarios like gate entry ports, stadiums, etc. It can what we should one should make sure that when you use these when you want to integrate it to any other app, the gate entry details are to be linked or are to be linked with the attributes from the eKYC XML document.
Chetan,
Another
your
requirement
voice
is the
breaking.
verifier enable seamless
Chetan, your audio,
integration.
Chetan, your
Audio
audio
is breaking.
So therefore, I think maybe someone else should speak. Maybe I don't know. Your audio is breaking. I cannot hear half of the words.
Sai Kumar, so while we fix the Chetan's audio, your question is on regarding OTP API. So already the reference code is available in the GitHub. Tomorrow also we are having a session how to make use of this OTP API. Look at the code. I think it's quite simple and you can easily make use of it.
So Chetan, your audio is not clear. I mean, maybe someone.
Yes, I'll connect to a different network and.
Yes. So I think there are some more questions which are happening. Is the Face RD app open source? No, there are Face RD. The headless app is not open source. It is actually provided as an APK. As far as the app that calls it, the sample app, that is open source. So therefore, how you have to call that APK is definitely is definitely what do you call it? Is definitely is open source. What else is the question? I think there is a question here is. So there is a question, what is video KYC? I think that we'll be talking about later. I don't want to, you can answer that question.
So there is a question from Ramesh Kannan, Flutter integration. Yes, you can integrate the headless app through Flutter. It's doable, but we don't have the sample for it that you need to look at. But technology wise, it is possible, and you can try it out.
Sure. So I'll move forward. So in this authentication reimagined theme, there are a bunch of problem statements. These are essentially the flows upon which you can build. So the first one is a check-in application for an airport or a stadium or a railway. That is, you need to smoothly integrate the KYC part and the verifying part with the ticket issued by an airliner or a stadium or a railway, and the same will be verified by the verifier app. So here the verification will happen offline. That is, the verifier app doesn't contact the UIDS servers when verifying through face authentication. It will be done entirely offline. So a sample flow for such a scenario is there will be two apps, one for the resident and the other for the verifier. And when a resident wants to book a ticket, what he does is, while booking the ticket, he'll call the eKYC API, he'll download his digitally signed XML through OTP authentication. Then what he'll do is he'll send this XML to the verifier backend with the ticket or boarding pass ID. This is done by the resident before going to the airport. Now, when the time to travel comes, the resident goes to the airport. He'll simply provide his ticket ID in the form of, let's say, QR code. So when he presents this in the form of QR code, the verifier app what will do is it will read this QR code. It will fetch the relevant XML which was shared before, and extract the photo from that XML. Use that photo and capture one more photo on site. Match those photo through our headless APK, and if it is a match, then the identity of the ticket holder is established. So this is one possible flow you can build upon. So there is another problem statement in this theme. The usage here is essentially doing a video KYC process, where it can be used as essentially when you want to open a bank account or any other online service where they need to do a identity verification. So the usage here is the video KYC will be done from the resident's home. The resident doesn't go to the institution with his ID, etc. He will be in his home. He will do a video KYC, and that video KYC will be used by the bank. So I'll in the next slide here I'll explain how this works. So here there won't be any verifier app, since the resident is in his home. So here the resident app is essentially, let's say, a banking app. You download your banking app and you say open a bank account. So when you say open a bank account, you initiate a KYC process, that is uploading your documents, for example, PAN, etc. And you might do a video challenge response. Then you call your eKYC API, Aadhaar eKYC API, download that XML through OTP authentication. This downloading of eKYC XML is it's the common for almost all all the problem statements in this theme. So once that is downloaded, face authentication will be done on that app itself. And once that is verified that the downloaded eKYC and the one who is downloading it are the same, you can send that eKYC XML to the verifier. So essentially, you have done the authentication, and the bank can simply accept those documents and the eKYC XML with your name and address, etc., as a proof.
So Chetan, can we stop here for some questions?
Yes.
So one question is, what is video KYC? I think it's important. Video KYC is a process that is actually prescribed by the by RBI for bank opening and various other kind of bank processes. So you should be able to find a lot of it is related to actually having various kinds of video things, uploading documents, having some video challenge response, and all these kinds of things. And then these are informations then are later typically validated by human people at the background to validate. Now we are saying that in addition to that, we can actually do the automated confirmation that the person who is there is actually the same person as whose ID has been submitted. So that's what the purpose of integrating face authentication into the already existing video KYC process. So that is what this is.
Yes. So as Vivek sir said, the important part here is once you initiate in current banking, in the current flow, if you once you upload the documents and do a video challenge response, it goes to a human being. He goes through those documents. It takes 2 or 3 days to verify, and then they get back to you. So you can essentially making use of our Face ID service, headless APK. You can eliminate that part, and it will be quick.
So Chetan, there is a question from Soumya Banerjee that, so at the time of authentication, resident apps should always be connected to internet. Yes, this flow requires connectivity to internet, because as at the starting of this flow, at the starting of the sample flow, Chetan mentioned that here the requirement is that you need to open a bank account. So that means, imagine that let's say you are opening a bank account with XYZ bank. So you'll use that bank application, do a video eKYC, and prove your credentials so that account can be opened. So that's the purpose over here. So that means you need to stay connected to the bank, or that is possible through internet only.
Yeah. And by the way, sometimes we use the word offline eKYC. Offline just means that you're not connected to UIDI. That doesn't mean that you're not connected to internet. Okay, let's be very clear about that. So sometimes you can certainly use an offline process because the intent is actually that resident can use the Aadhaar backed ID without necessarily, I mean, it's actually a privacy feature. So therefore, you actually can use the Aadhaar backed ID and people can know that it is genuine Aadhaar, but it is not something that is UID is not involved in the authentication process. Is that clear? Any other questions? I think there's a good question here. Is that why can't we use, instead of using the offline eKYC, why can't we use the QR code? This is actually a very good question. In fact, the QR code contains almost all the details that are there in the offline eKYC, but there is one important difference. You can try it with the QR code also, but there's one important difference. The size of the photograph available in the QR code is dependent on the basic the size of the QR code. So that photograph is actually only 1 kilobyte in size, while the photograph in the KYC XML is 6 to 10 kilobytes in size. And what actually happens is that has an impact on the accuracy of the face authentication. So that is why we are recommending to use the offline eKYC XML rather than the photograph in the QR code. But if someone wants to be brave and try something like that, you can. But then you'll be probably spending most of your time focused on solving that problem rather than anything else. But that's
a QR code can hold only a certain amount of data, right?
So most of the times QR codes are actually links to URLs and things like that. But in the case of Aadhaar QR code specifically, because we wanted it to work offline, we have actually embedded the entire photo inside the QR code. Okay. And so therefore, to actually make a photo, which is kind of 1 kilobyte, you have to do some severe compression, which is okay from a visual perspective, but we have not done extensive study on how that impacts face matching and those kind of things. So therefore, that's why it's a little bit more complex, probably beyond the scope of this hackathon is my guess. But if someone really wants to try, let's see. We are open to considering that also. Yeah.
So there's a question from Jay Kishore. We should use a prototype, or we should code the whole app using programming languages. I think the Jay Kishore, the evaluation criteria will be published tonight. That's first part. So that will give you the clarity what is the expectation. Second is that we have also, whatever information we have published so far on the hackathon website, it clearly articulates that we need a workable solution, a demonstrable solution, just not a prototype. You need to showcase your design, your idea, your innovation through a working solution, Right. That's
On the other hand, I just want to also clarify that all the sample code that you has, you can use it and you can fork it and you can start from there. So we are not having any issue with the using the existing code.
Yeah. So that's a question from Ujjwal, improve the existing code or start
Yes.
from scratch. We are like, this is a problem we have already solved, like calling our backend API to the face authentication. That's we want you to use this and build solutions and solve the challenges what we have thrown up.
Yes. In
And-
essence, you can simply use that code base, remove what you don't want, add what you want.
Yeah.
You can do that.
And Ujjwal, your second question is on the React Native and Java. They can coexist. It is doable. It is possible. So I'm giving you an example. Our mAadhaar application is a React Native plus Java combination. So I'm sure you can also make use of it. Prasad, your question is on the Flutter, how to sign signature using Flutter. You need to explore it. I'm sure since it is a JavaScript-based framework, it is doable. You just have to do little exploration on this. Piyush is asking, let's say we want to get some info from the XML. So certainly we would need to verify the signature of that XML. How do we do that? Chetan, would you like to answer this question? The digital signature verification of the XML document.
Yes, sir. So that question has been answered in the forum. If you search in the forum, you'll get that answer. It has been answered in the forum already. Please
Yeah, and
search
it's one of the key things. You have to validate the signature of the XML. Without that, you should never use the XML. It has to be a prerequisite. Any application not validating the signature of the XML is invalid by definition.
Shall I move forward, sir?
Yeah, there are a couple of questions coming on, like Pranav is asking some auth API documentation. Let us answer that, then we'll move to the next.
Yeah, I think that you don't, while I think that I'm glad that you are looking at some of those APIs, but I think the code that we have given you, the wrappers that we have given you will isolate you from all of those things. You don't need to worry about those things. The 256 bit session key and the HMAC fields, etc. I don't think they need to worry about that, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
They should not need to worry about these kind of things.
So Pranav, you don't have to worry about the XML building for the auth API. You just use. I'll once I get to the code part, the resources part, I'll show you exactly the file where you can see just calling that you can by JSON fields you can get your auth done without going through all the session keys, etc. That we have provided the code which handles that for you.
And there's a demo app also that one can experience right now. Available there.
Yes. Yes. I mean, later in the presentation in the resources section, I have a resources section. I'll go through the code once. Yeah.
Yeah, let's move ahead, Chetan. And meantime, we'll Ujjwal, your question will respond it through chat only. Yeah.
Okay. So we just explored two problem statements and two possible flows on which you can build. So then the another problem statement is to use Aadhaar authentication to transfer high value kind of transfer money or assets. So use this use the face authentication to conduct high value transaction in third party apps. So a possible flow for this is this will have a resident app which sorry, yes, yeah, it will have a resident app where normal transaction can be validated just using OTP authentication. However, when high value transaction are supposed to be conducted, you can make use of an additional authentication mechanism, that is face authentication mechanism, through the Face RT app. So this is a simple application where you say कि for certain amount of transaction you do an OTP authentication, and for higher value transaction you use face authentication.
Yeah. And the OTP authentication can be third party, need not be Aadhaar at all, because in the sense that
Yes.
you're not using Aadhaar. Only when, okay, this is a big transaction, I want to get more security, then you use Aadhaar.
Yes. Yes. Obviously for this you can use the Aadhaar OTP authentication APIs which we have provided. The next problem statement in this theme is getting an 100% authentication in remote areas or rural areas. So there is a connectivity, there might be a connectivity issue in some areas, and also there are studies saying that over the age fingerprints fade and might not be suitable for a finger authentication. So in these cases, those residents will be left out, but we would like you to consider face auth and build around that to bring that demographic in to bring that demographic in the authentication process. So here you can leverage multi-factor authentication and offline capabilities to achieve 100% authentication success. Use the face authentication for residents for whom OTP doesn't not work. Don't worry about fingerprint authentication here. It's just assume that the fingerprint authentication doesn't work, and use the offline face authentication when connectivity is not available, that is network connectivity is not available. And as usual, the standard practice is Aadhaar number should not be exposed to the verifier. In this, yes.
Chetan, so let's set the context over here.
Yeah.
So this is again, it's an interesting problem statement, and we at Aadhaar, our expectation is that the resident should get a chance to authenticate himself or herself by using any biometric modality that is available with us. But for some of the biometric modality right now, for example, if somebody does a finger authentication at a ration store, that's a setting on which our sample use case we are going to explain. Imagine that you are in a rural area wherein the connectivity is definitely always a challenge, especially 3G or 4G connectivity. Sometimes even the 2G connectivity is also not stable. And we want the resident not to suffer in any way because the ration shop doesn't have a broadband connection or doesn't have a 3G, 4G connection with our backend servers, right? So we have online authentication through say finger or through face. We have also offline way of authenticating it. And we want you to think about these possibilities that is available from UIDAI side in terms of SDK or in terms of API, and give us a solution which will help the resident to get authenticated under any circumstances or any scenarios. That is the objective. And it's a good problem statement. I think you need to think little creative, little innovative, and I think you can come up with, all the participants, they can come up with very nice solutions. So yeah, Dr. Vivek, would you like to add anything over here?
No, I think it is very well stated. I mean, the bottom line is various things are there, right? I mean, while normally we may have used fingerprint instead of OTP, but OTP is also good because not everybody in rural India has a mobile number, right? So those are, and if maybe their mobile is not linked to Aadhaar, right? So they can't use OTP. So then they must use face. And then sometimes if the connectivity is not there, we must use offline face. So your application means Just because there is no connectivity doesn't mean that somebody should not get ration, right? This is a requirement. All the people need to have access to the service. So 100% success, or at least an exception to exception flow, right? If this doesn't work, I'm going to use that. If that doesn't work, I'm going to do something. But in the end, everybody must be covered. And that is the intent of how we can create a verifier app that services all the people, irrespective of their situation. And that is the use case, that inclusion, right? How can Aadhaar work for everybody? And that is the kind of the spirit of this problem.
Yeah. So in this flow, you can there won't be any resident app. You can assume that, but there will be a verifier app. You can assume that the resident has already shared his KYC XML with the verifier. For example, it's a PDS shop which a resident frequents on a monthly basis to get his or her ration, right? So he has already shared it at some point in the past. He has already shared his eKYC. Now you can think about using that eKYC for offline or online or an OTP authentication, or a offline or online face authentication, or and a OTP authentication. That's the way the verifier app can be built.
And this verifier application is with the PDF store. It's a
Yes.
PDF, a PDS guy who is going to give the ration. That application is, that app is with him.
Yes. Keeping that in mind, make sure what information is stored, so that Aadhaar is not stored, etc. Yeah. So with that, I think I've clearly explained the 4 problem statements and their possible use cases, and how some simple flows and how one can build those up. So I'll next go to resources. Before that, we can take a minute to answer your questions. So if you can answer, if you can ask the questions in chat, we will get to answer your question.
Yeah, especially the problem statement 4, which is an interesting problem statement and is an aspiration of UIDAI to give 100% authentication. We guess we'll get some questions on it.
The only, especially on board, track as resources.
So everybody, there is a question is asked a couple of times. What is the long number that is obtained when QR code is scanned? Basically when we basically scan a QR code, we basically get a something. It is actually encoded in what is in a kind of a numeric form, and there is a schema to understand the meaning of that numeric form. There is a document for the same. We can share that with you so that you can understand, and you can basically extract all the information that is there in the offline eKYC XML, with one exception, that basically the photograph is not of that such a good quality. So if you want to use it in face authentication, there may be issues, but I know people are asking what is that QR code. There is a document which actually we can share, which how to read that QR code and decode it. Okay.
Right. And there is a question from Siddharth. Can we mix multiple problem statements into one? I guess you are referring to one application. Answer is yes, if that is your question. You can definitely, you can build one application and you can showcase multiple problem statements in that. It's absolutely fine. We have answered this question multiple times. We are okay.
But doesn't mean that you will get more points just because you did more features. I want the quality of experience is what matters. So focus on doing one thing well in the application. That's my advice. Unless you have some clever way of using 2 things and it really makes a big difference from a user experience perspective, we'll consider. So, but you can do whatever you want in your app, and then you say which category you want it to be in, and we will deal with it in that category.
There is a question from Piyush. Can we change our approach slightly from what we submitted in the concept note? Very much you can do that. You have those options till 2300 hours on 31st October.
Yes, absolutely. This is you can change. You can definitely change. In fact, if you don't change, I'll be surprised.
Yes, and we are also this today's session also will upload it. Please rewind, replay, and understand. And if there are any queries around the problem statements or what we covered today, please feel free to reach out to us through the forum, or I would say you use the forum. That is very effective. Don't send mails. Maybe sometime we might because mail is loaded with other requests. So please use the forum.
Yeah, I think the forum. Yeah, we will put the this even that the questions are being asked, but reading the QR code, we should we'll put that in the forum as well.
Dinesh is asking, can you say how the hackathon is conducted and is it online? Yes, Dinesh, it is a virtual hackathon, and that's why we have released and we are communicating only through webinar or through portal or through email or through forum. And you need to submit your solution through the GitHub, and please go to the hackathon portal, that is hackathon.uidi.gov.in, and read through those the qualifying criteria and problem statements. It will give you the clarity.
Okay. So moving forward. So till now, I have explained you various scenarios how you can leverage certain tools, right? One is the Face RD app for doing the face authentication. One is the eKYC XML, which you can use it to download eKYC XML, the OTP for OTP authentication, and VID generator, which returns you a virtual Aadhaar number. So I'll briefly go over these things. So these are essentially the backbone for this entire problem statement. And if you think about it, it's these are the backbone for the address theme also. So the first thing is the offline eKYC API. So we have uploaded. I'll share my entire screen so that I can show you the code. So the offline eKYC we have provided in the following get link. So this eKYC, it's a wrapper. So what it does is it calls the CAPTCHA API for you, and it returns a base64 encoded JPG image which has the CAPTCHA. So you decode it, take the CAPTCHA, you enter that CAPTCHA, then it calls the OTP wrapper API, which sends a OTP to the registered mobile number. Then once you have that OTP, you can use that OTP to call the offline eKYC wrapper API, which will essentially will download you the XML eKYC XML document which we have been talking about. So just to this code link, as we have pinned it in the forum, so you can follow it, you can go through it any time you want. So if you look at here, this is essentially, if you make use of this code, it will be very simple for you. For if you want to download the eKYC XML, this is the easiest way. If you go use this eKYC wrapper, right? So here is simply it calls the calls the OTP request. You have to, all you have to do is give your staging UID, which will be provided to all of you, right? Once you get your staging UID, you give that staging UID and the CAPTCHA. You'll get the CAPTCHA as JPG. You decode it. So it's a simple flow. You can follow this. So it will be very easier. Instead of going through individual APIs or the auth API, you can simply use this to download your eKYC XML. So similarly, we have a with generation API. The documentation can be found here. Yeah, the documentation can be found here, and the flow is similar to the eKYC XML. Instead of calling the eKYC XML, you will get the VID. And all of these APIs have JSON request and response body, so you don't have to worry about the XML formation, etc. I mean, in some scenarios, you would let's say you would like to just do OTP authentication. That is, you don't want to do the let's say you don't want to download eKYC XML. So just to be clear, if let's say you have a scenario wherein you want to download eKYC XML, it's better to use that eKYC wrapper XML. It takes care of calling the CAPTCHA, OTP, and then giving you the eKYC, right? But let's say you don't want to download eKYC XML, but you just want to do an OTP authentication. Then the best way to do it is first call this OTP service, which will send the OTP to your registered mobile number. Then we have the auth API in the auth service put in the auth API client in the GitHub, and use that to authenticate that OTP. Right? For example, here you can if you uh, if you go through this link, you'll find that this will simply call, I mean, given the staging UID, it will call it will send a OTP to the registered mobile number, right? And once you have that OTP, you can call this auth API client, which is also in the Git repo, to simply verify whether that OTP and the OTP in the backend are same. That is doing the OTP authentication. This also takes in simple arguments, that is UID, that is staging UID. It also takes VID and uh, some transaction ID and the OTP request. Okay? The OTP request is what you got from the previous call to the API. So if you want to simply do the OTP authentication, you just follow these two, that is call these two APIs, and it will be much easier. You don't have to worry about session keys and how to encrypt the your API calls, etc. So that will be handled by the code already given in the GitHub. Now, similarly, for face authentication, we have provided the necessary code. We have a repo for both. I mean, in face authentication, the what we have provided is, one is the headless APK. Okay? This headless APK is used to the actual. This is the headless app which I told you before. It does the actual matching. So if you want to use face authentication anywhere, just download this headless APK from this Google Drive link, and this is provided in the Git repo. This headless just download it and install it. It won't have any UI to it. It's a headless APK. Okay, you download this. Next, if your task will be, if you're doing the face authentication, your task will be essentially building a verifier app, right? So if you want a sample code of how a verifier app can be, then we have provided that also in the same face RD SDK repo. If you go to app, you have an APK. It's called an sample AUA app. So this is AUA is kind of a verifier. right? So if you download this APK, you can understand, you can see the UI elements in it. Okay, you can and you can build, the flow can be along the same way, right? So this APK what we have provided, it has some functionality to it, that is given an eKYC XML, given an eKYC XML, that is it loads an eKYC XML from the disk and calls the headless app, right? So that's what does the face matching. So that functionality is in this, you can go through that. And if you want the code for it in the same face RD SDK demo, the code is also given. The entire app code is also given. You just simply fork this, right? You start building upon it. If you have any more features, you can simply add them to the uh, this repo. That will be the fastest way. So so that's it for this session. So if you have any more questions, you can raise it in the chat, and also you can obviously use the forum.
If there are any final questions, we can answer if there is something else that is there. I think there are two questions that they're asking. Some people are saying they can't access the forum. I'm assuming that is something that I don't know what could be the issue that somebody cannot access the forum.
So if you have registered in the past day, you might have not received the forum link yet. So we will make sure that whoever has registered recently will get the forum link tonight.
Okay. The second question that is being asked is that staging UID, that is also, there is something that people should have or should be receiving soon, right? Is that correct? Or many people
Yes.
have already received it, right?
Yes, sir. I think many people now might have already received it. If anyone is remaining, we will get that done tonight. Yeah.
So then I'm seeing some things about app crashes, etc. We'll take that offline. But I think the question is that have we correctly put out what are the requirements of the phone, etc. For the sample app, etc. Is that put out there, Vijay, as far as the OS and all that stuff?
A specification document is also attached along with the app, and that has the specifications.
Okay. Yeah, and so if you're facing any specific issues, please put them in the forum, not here. We will respond to you and on those things.
I think there's a question from Karan from the. Staging UID has been made. All staging UID.
So I hope I have addressed majority of your questions on this theme. If you have any more questions, obviously you can use the forum, which we are monitoring continuously, and we will reply there.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm very excited for the people who are looking at the authentication team, and I'm looking very forward to people actually attempting the authentication team and coming up with interesting solutions.
So Akarsh Tripathi says, can you brief about ASA keys mentioned in the API docs? So Akarsh, as I was saying, you don't have to worry about those, because we have provided wrappers for them. You simply have to use those. If you this recorded session and the PPT will be uploaded in the forum. The recorded session I think will be uploaded in the YouTube, but the PPT I'll upload it in the forum, so you will have the direct links saying to the code, right? So you don't have to worry about the ASA keys. So I hope the problem, the authentic, it's no match phone. Darshan, if you're not able to log into your forum, please send it to hackathon 2021@uidea.net.in so that we will send you an invite which you can use to log in.
The evaluation criteria will be put out today only.
Deepak, the judging criteria will be put out today. So keep your, you can look forward to that. I mean, we will post it in the website and the forum also. So Navneet asks, is resident app should work along with the third party booking tickets, etc. apps who wants to verify identities, or third party apps will have inbuilt verifications for themselves? So, Navneet, let's say you are a passenger of an airline called, let's say, Indigo, right? Indigo will have their own app. So essentially, in this problem statement, you will be building that Indigo app. Okay? That's your resident app, right?
And the airport will have an airport authority app, which is the
and
verified app.
and the airport will have their own app called, let's say, that's an airport authority app. Now your app will have the functionality of booking. You don't have to it will have your functionality of ticket booking, your KYC downloading capabilities, and sharing that KYC XML capabilities. Now the verifier app called the airport authority app will be having the capabilities to verify that KYC XML based on face authentication.
Anyway, I think at this stage maybe we can end this session, and I suppose the recording will be put up at the forum. Is that correct, Chetan?
Yes, sir. The recording will be put up on YouTube and the link will be put up in the forum and also the website. But I'll be putting up the PPT in the forum
So the PPT
and the website.
So there's a final question on from Shreyan. Shreyan, this is for OTP API. You are having a challenge. Looks like. When did you try this? If you can share the logs, perhaps we can immediately look into it.
But I think the forum is the best way to ask these questions. I think asking these questions here is not
Yes.
It's not necessarily the right way. But we need to answer. We'll answer these questions in the forum as quickly as possible.
Absolutely, that's what is the forum all about. Yeah.
Yes, sir, I have wished. Yeah. So any questions regarding any error in the APIs, you just post it in the forum. We will answer it there. So thank you all. Thank you all for showing interest in the authentication